Yo, yo, yo.
What's happening, man? How you doing?
What's going on, y'all?
Man, it is another Sunday night, bro.
Sunday night service here at the Religiously Incorrect
A
Sanctuary.
new year. We back in the studio. You know what I mean? You're looking good. Pittsburgh didn't won. What kind of garbage is that?
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Mother-in-law having a fit, act like they
Listen.
done won the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
let me tell y'all a story about how Pastor Jeff plans birthday parties for his wife during the Steelers play-in game. And me and mom-in-law have to watch on our phones. By the way, I have a criticism about this Japanese restaurant.
I already know what it is.
That didn't have nearly enough Japanese people in it. That didn't have nearly enough.
That was the Blackanese restaurant.
I'm like, why is bruh man over here sauteing my steak?
He was getting it too.
And you can tell he practiced extra hard just to prove his hibachi bona fides. You can tell bona fides.
Hey, and then the bus lady was gospel.
Oh my goodness.
She's like, bless you, God bless you.
She came straight from church. She came out the mother's kitchen. She went from frying chicken to passing out yum yum sauce. All right, y'all. Welcome to Religiously Incorrect. Tap in, say hi, say hello, like, share, tag somebody. Let us know you're in the room. Let us know that you're here so that we can say hey, say what's up. This is the Sunday night service sanctuary, and we're just glad to be in the building, glad to be here, glad to be watching and sharing with you. Pastor Jeff, what's going on in the world? It seems to me that we have had some good things happen, some tragedies. We lost Ma Betty White.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
now we lost.
Then we lost
Brother Sidney.
Brother Sidney Poitier. Brother Sidney Poitier, we lost.
Now, if you don't know
the iconic actor,
if you don't know who Sidney Poitier is, you are probably too young to be watching this show.
Correct.
If you don't know the classic, the great Sidney Poitier from the old school,
he slapped a white man. That's all you really need to know. he slapped that. Listen, I watched that video about 13 times the other day.
Did you?
And it made my soul happy.
It made
my soul happy.
I came with him already. I came with him.
It made my soul happy.
Todd, when you want to slap a white man?
It might happen.
Don't do it.
I'm on city council.
Yeah, don't. That's. I was about to say. Let's not even.
Listen, I'm an elected official now, and we might just have a Mr. Tibbs moment. You know, we might just have a Mr. Tibbs moment. But I mean, everything from in the heat of the night.
Yeah.
The Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Wow. The first Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
The first.
Well, it's been like 3 of them now, ain't it?
Yeah, and he was blackety black with the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been some kind of week. And by the way, there's no comparison between the two. But we lost 2 icons. But it's a good thing that. Oops. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, I was in the wrong. Okay, there we go. It's a good thing that they both got their flowers and their appreciation while they were alive.
Right. Absolutely.
And you know, I think what we need to do is continue to tell the story, because I think there's a whole new generation that didn't. You know, we were raised with our by the time Heat of the Night became a TV show, was another dude.
Yeah.
But we were raised on the Sidney Poitiers, and you know, we didn't have.
I just think we talked about this earlier, and I think it's very important that we not try to compare the two and try to compare the genres. Don't
and Betty gets more. You got to remember, Betty gets more rips because she had the white and the black folk.
Exactly, and we also got to realize Betty done her last movie and died.
She stayed in the public eye.
You know what I mean? She
much longer.
You know, she was. You know, she just literally was doing movies. So
yeah, I mean, they cut the camera off and she just stopped breathing after that.
They said cut.
They said cut. Go to hell, Jeff.
Sidney been out the way for a while, but he was a very inspirational and a very iconic black figure.
If you have a favorite Sidney Poitier movie, put it in the comments. But you know, the ones with Bill Cosby were good, but don't nobody want to talk about them anymore. Listen, we are not going to cancel Bill Cosby's genius. We can cancel if you feel that he is guilty and that's your conviction, I don't have a dog in the fight. But I'm not going to cancel the genius. Uptown Saturday night?
Well, you know what? Let me because if you not going to cancel Bill Cosby genius, you can't cancel R. Kelly's genius.
That's a different kind of.
It's not. If we ain't canceling genius, you can't, pick and choose with. That's like picking and choose with saying you want.
I mean, Bill Cosby.
What? Say it. Say it.
It's about to be a whole show, man. I believe Bill Cosby was a part of a party culture, and what he did was wrong. But I think it was in a different context of culture, where if you start taking down every Hollywood star in that day that was hanging at the Playboy Mansion and giving each other quaaludes and stuff and all that, that'd be a different.
No means no.
No means no.
I'm gonna say it again with no smile on my face.
Jeff is really trying to get on the women's side. He's really trying to get on the women's side. R. Kelly was little girls, man.
Yeah.
Little girls. I mean, he had like a whole operation. Bill had some pills. Bill had a couple pills, and he's like, yeah.
He was putting them in the.
Why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about this now?
You said I was going to talk about it once. So you went to it.
Okay, Ahmaud Arbery's killers are going to jail forever, and I wish Mike had the shout music on the. You need to bring the shout music effects back, because that would have been a good one. Somebody asked, that somebody was me. Is it appropriate to celebrate people going to jail? The answer is yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is. It is, cause I toasted to their convictions.
Absolutely, we ought to toast. Sentences. We ought to toast. We should have had a party.
I mean, because most of the time, even when if they are convicted, in the rare case, it's still only like a 10-year sentence with time served and, oh, he has cancer and blah, 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 blah. When I heard without the possibility of parole for the two,
absolutely,
father and son, and the other dude, after 30 years, he's dead. Don't even ask me if I feel okay with it, because I am.
Absolutely. We are both okay with it.
And it's not racial. It's not about race. This is not a race issue at all.
Yes, it is. No, it's all about race.
No, it's not. No, like other people would be doing when it really is, but they don't want to say this.
Right.
It's not about race. It's about justice.
Yeah, justice for our race.
They done took everybody else's life sentences. They got George Zimmerman's life sentence. What they call the McMichaels or whatever?
Yeah, McMichaels.
They got everybody else's life sentence. That judge was like, this is for every other person who's killed a black person unjustly and didn't get sentenced. They got everybody else's life sentence. Somebody had to be the sacrificial lamb. Somebody had to be the lamb, and they are. So, it is what it is, and they are who they are. So we're just gonna have to deal with it from there.
Listen, can I because since we're on this, I just gotta bring up one more thing that I saw in the news this week, which I thought was absolutely crazy. It was OJ. It was OJ doing an interview.
Oh, McStabby?
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
McStabby Simpson?
That's the thing that the lady said. Well, he played a joke on me I didn't think was very funny. He came to my door and opened it. He was like, OJ
Simpson.
I was like, OJ, what's wrong with you? Well, OJ, stop. Just let it go.
Listen, he is bold. And he knows who gonna check. Listen, OJ is if who gonna check me, boo, was a person.
Yeah, who gonna check me, boo?
If who gonna check me, boo, was a person, OJ Simpson would be that person.
Absolutely.
This cat is commented on football, who's guilty of stuff.
They're walking and a lady walks up to him and says, "Hey, how you doing, Mr. Simpson? I never met a killer before." He's like, "Glad to meet you." I was like, are you serious, OJ?
Wow.
But
wow,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, and that might be the only. It is what it is. Is where we're going.
Okay, y'all. It's a slow news week.
It's a slow
news week, y'all.
Some white man went to jail, and Jeff is thrilled about it.
And I'm thrilled about
Jeff is thrilled about it.
Todd had a party. He had a party.
I had a confetti gun.
That's the actual reason we went to the Chinese restaurant.
Oh, I know what it is, Mike. I'll just say it out loud. It's the camera. You want to switch them, or we just want to live with it?
the show, I'd rather switch it.
You want to switch it?
Yeah.
All right, I can make it happen. All right, guys, we're gonna do the intro again, and then I guess we just keep playing the intro until we fix it. We're about to switch cam. We're gonna switch cameras real quick because we have a delay on our voices. So we apologize because we value excellence at Religiously Incorrect.
Absolutely.
So nobody has to go anywhere. Our guest doesn't have to go anywhere. We're gonna do a switch. He's gonna take me off camera. He's gonna take us out real quick. So y'all hang tight. Go get some chips, pop, some wine, whatever y'all backsliding saints be drinking during Religiously Incorrect. Go ahead and get yourself something. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Yes, sir. All right. We good?
Are we cool?
We good?
Yeah, we're cool. All right, y'all. Guess what time it is? It's time for Meme of the Week.
Meme of the week.
Hit it up, Mike. Meme of the Week.
Cause meme of the week. Meme of the week.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
We thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
We are, these are all jokes. We are just playing.
These are all jokes. We are just playing. Mike, send us when your pastor believes in God and his team. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I need to know the gifted, anointed hands.
Casey Watson.
Casey Watson. Because I know Miss Anita at my church would not make that road because she's a die-hard Browns fan.
Thank you, Miss Anita. Please don't ever make that.
I brought a terrible towel to church one time as my preacher towel, and like 5 members just got up and got ready to walk out. I said, okay, and they were tithers too. I had to bring them back. I had to put it down. That is hot.
That is sacrilegious.
I would buy that for you, Pastor
No, you
Jeff.
would not. That if you buy it, you can buy it for me.
We might have to propose a friendly preacher bet next year that based on the Steelers Browns, that when your pastor believes in God, and listen, the anointing is on him. You see, and he has the cloth over the mic. Now you know he's doing some preaching now. There's prophecy going forth.
Listen, that brother is preaching about backsliding as we speak. He is preaching about backsliding.
He's a custom preacher. Listen,
he looked like one of them people preachers to be like, y'all Negroes.
Nah, he says the real N word. You know he does. He's from Mississippi. He ain't afraid of nobody. He's like my friend Arrington from Canton. He was like, they tried to bury the word nigga. I dug it back up. All right. I love it.
Hey, meme of the week.
How custom should custom robes be, Pastor Jeff?
I like, I do custom. I got a couple custom robes, and the one had the malfunction when I was preaching at church.
Jeff wore a whole cape to my church. And by the time he read the opening scripture, it looked like Thanos had beat him up in a Marvel movie. and his cape was just coming off completely. But you know,
I mean,
to each their own.
Yeah. If you get them done right, they're
I
nice.
hope his church was in Pittsburgh.
If it wasn't, he was in trouble.
I hope his church was in Pittsburgh.
We're gonna have to find out.
We got to find out what our church. Hey, Elder Carter, good evening. All right, want to thank our sponsors. We're gonna bring our guest in. He's been waiting. The hour is far spent. The hour is far spent.
that's another preacher terminology.
So we want to thank our sponsors, Phillips Care family of businesses, Phillips Care Cleaning Service. They do residential and commercial cleaning, floor cleaning, carpet upholstery, move in and move out. I keep telling y'all, they've done work for me and they always do an excellent job. Check out Phillips Care LLC. Call Fernando at 330-219-7916. Tell him Religiously Incorrect sent you. You will not get a discount. While you're at it, make sure you check out Phillips Care Lawn Services. They do it all. And you probably never did get those leaves up. They're frosty and brittle now. They probably got ice on them.
Please call Fernando because he ain't getting no money from snow removal when you're in Ohio.
Not with global warming. There's no more snow to plow.
I think I ain't shoveled the snow yet this year.
Oh, yeah. It's bad out there. Check out Fernando. Check out Phillips Care Lawn Services, Phillips Care Cleaning, Phillips Care LLC on Facebook, 330-219-7916. Thank you very much. Our guest tonight, I want you to do me a favor. Like, share, tag, tell somebody to pop in because we have a very special guest.
Yes, sir.
A choir director, a producer, a certified artist. I'm not talking about one of these people just selling CDs out the back of their car at the flea market. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not talking about somebody that bootlegs their own albums.
Come on, sir.
They have the real albums and they burn their own albums.
You're talking good, Bishop.
This is the one and only, one of the choir extraordinaires of Ohio.
Pre-share Holy Ghost.
The super churchy dude himself. Give it up for Terence J Dooley. Give it up for Terence J Dooley. What's up, my man?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
All right, man. How you doing?
Great, Miami Vice. We're doing excellent.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. Man,
world musicians be cool in a mug, don't they?
All he's missing is a backpack.
I'm telling you.
Man, I'm too old for the backpack now. I used to do
that. You're too old for the backpack?
I did when I was younger, but I don't now. So I will carry like a briefcase or whatever.
That's the bishop's wear.
Yeah, but I can't do the backpack anymore. It wrinkles your suits up, so I'm good. I can't do that.
Yes, sir. That's right. We got to be dignified. Terence J Dooley is a recording artist, choir director, composer, producer, songwriter. He has his choir called Testimony. They came to Warren recently and just tore up at Second Baptist. And I told him he was going to be on soon on the podcast. Multiple albums. My boy, I was going to put a post up, but I'll tell you face to face. Now you are the song of the car in my car with my boy. He says, put that song on I like. What's that song? And it's He's My Joy, Peace, Everything to Me. And he sings it well. I'm going to make a video of him and post it up. You've made an impact, man. And your music, we had a choir locally that just performed one of your cuts and I hear your music out. And it's funny. It's like a car. It's like, you know how you buy a car and you start seeing your car all over.
Yeah.
Once you get exposed to an artist, you start hearing them all over and you didn't realize that was them, or you hear people singing some of their material and didn't realize it was them. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Terence. Tell us about just what you do, how long you've been doing it, what's happening.
Sure. Well, again, my name is Terence. I am a Columbus, Ohio native. Been here pretty much my whole life, except when I went away to college an hour away in Dayton at Wright State University. Shout out to the Raiders. I'm kind of a late bloomer in I don't want to say in music because I started singing and, playing, all little church kids learn how to play instruments in church when we was young. So I've, of course, been doing that forever, but I played high school ball. Like I played basketball in middle school and high school. And then once I got to college, we took intramural seriously. Like we took that as seriously as they would in the NCAA just across the hall in intramural. So I was still kind of focused on basketball. But when I started playing for the gospel choir at Wright State University, that's when things kind of began to change. And I kind of started to realize that I had something. And then once I realized that I wasn't going to the NBA, is when I was like, okay, let me go ahead and take this seriously. And so I started testimony in 2007. 2007. Is it 2007? Yeah. So I started that in 2007, in the summer of 2007. So this year actually is 15 years that testimony has been ministering.
Wow.
And I'm very grateful for that, because there's been times that I felt like, shutting it down. There's been times that it looked like it was going to just shut down. But the Lord has given us a lot of grace to allow us to keep going. And I'm very grateful for that. So that's a little
Terence,
bit about us. Yeah. Go ahead.
Terence, in a praise and worship world,
Mm-hmm.
in a praise and worship world, what made you want to talk? What made you want to deal with choirs?
Well, honestly, growing up, my dad, once my dad got saved, he got saved for real, and he didn't listen to any secular music.
King James Version saved.
We're gonna have a show on Save for
right.
Real. Go ahead.
He stopped listening to secular music and everything. So he would always, he would go to the record store, because he was just used to going to the record store and getting Al Green or whoever he used to listen to. I don't know. So he would go and pick up Mississippi Mass Choir, the Frank Williams years, and then Mississippi Mass Choir, the James Moore years. John P. Key was big, because my dad was from North Carolina and he could have swore that he knew him. So
Everybody
I
does.
mean, just all these choirs and groups and all this that that we listened to growing up. And so it's something that I kind of gravitated towards. And so that's kind of how I got started. And again, I was 15 years ago. Choirs were a little more prevalent then. I'm pretty sure everybody had a church choir 15 years ago. So that's, it kind of was the thing to do still at that time.
Now, is there like a pecking order to starting a choir? Do you have to have been in someone's choir for so long, or are there certain prerequisites to make you a respected, you know what I mean? Or are people going to basically be like, yo, you came in here jack leg, you don't have your papers. Well, who speaks for the choir directors and the group starters in the world? How do you get legitimate?
I think you said it. When people see that you've worked with somebody else and you've at least learned under them, or you've gained the respect of your peers. Maybe you were a guest director or assistant director or something like that. Like Ricky Dillard, there's videos of him singing with countless artists. I think he was in the Thompson Community Choir. There's a video of him with Keith Pringle somewhere on YouTube, and it's so funny because he has a Jerry curl. If you know Ricky Dillard, he's bald.
I need to see this video.
I think I have it saved in my phone because I was going to post it one day. Like, look at Ricky Dillard. But excuse me. But so I think there is just what you said. I think people, when you just come out of nowhere and try to start something, it takes a long time because people don't know what you're capable of. They don't know what they're getting themselves into, unless you have a really good church choir and it just kind of transitions into something else. And that's totally different. But I think people do like to see that lineage, I guess you can say, where you begat, somebody had to begat you,
Right.
So,
To be gotten.
yeah, right.
Now, is your choir, because I noticed, now, even when somebody does have a choir, they have like a 3.5 part choir. It'd be like 2 baritones, 2 baritones, 1 tenor, and 20 sopranos and 10 altos. Do you have the full gamut? And
So it's not an ensemble, it's an actual choir. Is there a difference?
I think there is a difference. For me, I have a small choir. I've always kind of called us, I'll back up just a hair. So my very first album, I wanted to have where it was, what do I want to say? An assortment, I guess. I don't know, where it was ensemble / choir. I can't think of a better word, but that it was just sort of, I guess fusion, I guess you can say, where it's like,
Okay.
you know, Trust in the Lord is on there, and Trust in the Lord is a show enough choir song, period.
Right.
And then I have some songs on there that were a little more closer to like praise and worship. But I kind of refer to us then, even at that time, as an ensemble or a small choir. So we're not like a Mississippi Mass choir where there's just like rows and rows and rows and rows. So I always was like 2 rows, I'm good to go.
Okay.
But you know, we still kind of roll soprano, alto, tenor. No bass right now. Hang on one second. Yes, sir. Okay, I got you. So, sorry, my son is like,
you good.
It's all good.
So, you know, still a dad at the end of the day. He don't care whether I'm on an interview or not. Don't matter. But so you know, we still have soprano, alto, tenor, no bass. We try to reach a little higher, try to go up a little higher.
Okay.
But there are some songs that I actually have like 6-part harmony. So there's some of those notes that are, you know, bass notes or second soprano, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
Now,
right.
Todd gonna get real deep with you in a minute because he's this choir, musical instrument person. But I got one question to ask you before Todd get real deep. And
Okay.
I've always wanted to know this, so I gotta ask you. There are choirs who do this whole thing, and I watched you do it the other day. And it was phenomenal. When they do that whole that whole thing, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is that real or is that do they just know where they going? Because I mean, I just need to know. I mean, do they, are you really hitting them and they singing when you go? Because I mean, sometimes y'all be just moving, you know. I just need to know.
That's a tough question because sometimes some directors, you know exactly what they're going to do. And I want to say there was a song by New Direction years ago called New Direction. The song was called New Direction by New Direction. And the way that they did that you had to learn exactly how they did it because there was a certain pattern that went with it. So we practiced that. We knew exactly what we were going to do. But from what I did the other day, no, they were watching me and we were doing it as we went. Because I think I did it even in rehearsal. I did something different every time. So they were watching, they were tuned in to what we were doing. But there are some like Ricky Dillard, his is probably patterned out. So he can do his thing. You know, he's a lot more limber, you know, than I am. So, you know, he can do a lot more with that. So
yeah, this cat be popping, locking and stuff. This cat pull out a cardboard.
That was phenomenal, though. Just applaud you, man. That was phenomenal. I love stuff like that.
For director and choir, it was great to see that interaction, and that trust and that fellowship. You know, all of us have had the pain of directing nothingness. In other words, you directed it, but it didn't happen. Like it'd be the big note that never happens. You turn around and be like.
There was a video where the dude was like, "We are blessed."
Yes.
And it was looking like,
not today, you would not.
Yeah,
so I love the choir sound, and my love for the choir comes from a weird place, and that is, I was raised in a church that was on the cutting edge of the new age, contemporary 80-ish. Early 90-ish sound, almost like white CCM before anybody else was doing it. I mean, Sandy Patty and Carmen and all that. So my brothers and I thought we were the corniest people in the world. So we would run to the churches that were doing the musicals, the youth explosions, the choir festivals, because we would feel like we weren't all the way black. We really did. We felt like we weren't all the way black because our church was a black church that honestly acted pretty white.
Okay.
In some ways, not in all ways, but in some ways. And then I think it has something to do with, you know, how in churches you have certain seasons where it just kind of veers in one direction, depending on who's in charge and control. And next thing you know, we doing like Spaceship, you know, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you know, all that stuff. And we were like yearning. We'd run to St. James Church of God in Christ. We'd run to, those are our local churches, Monument, New Jerusalem. They would have their choir. And, you know, I love the choir sound, but we've seen that it has completely shifted away from the choir sound. It has shifted completely away from. And do you feel that making a comeback? Do you see an appreciation coming back? Or do you feel like it's still fading and it's becoming like a lost art?
I think that it's becoming a novelty. You know, in the church, I'm sure you can understand this. It's tough to get the people to come out. It's tough, and I mean, praise and worship music. You can send out a YouTube list and tell everybody to show up 20 minutes before the service. We're going to review the songs and be ready to sing. You can't do that with Richard Smallwood. You can't do that with James Hall. You can't do that with my stuff. You know, you can't do that with, you know, the Thompson Community Choir, some of their stuff, or, you know, a lot of different art. You can't do that. And so it takes time that people just don't want to set aside today. You know, choir rehearsal used to be 2 hours long, period.
Yes, sir.
You know, and it was every week or whatever, every other week or whenever your church choir met. And and we stayed there until we got it right and we were ready to go on Sunday. People don't have collectively, you know, you may have 6 people that want to do that, but I just don't think people want to spend that time anymore. And that's where the community and the independent artists can, you know, that's where we are actually sort of appreciative of that, because now we're booked a little bit more because the churches don't have choirs anymore.
Right.
And then the other thing is church attendance is way down from where it was in the 80s, 90s. And so we have less people to pull from in order to make a choir. And so I think those are some of the reasons why churches have gone away from the choir, because you'll see praise teams, you know, pulling out choir songs every now and then. So the people do want to hear that style of music. But I think people just are less likely nowadays to set aside those 2 hours on a Saturday or 2 hours on a Thursday to come together and create a choir. So those are just some things that I've noticed down through the years, where it used to be people took pride. And, you know, I remember people used to ask, they never would even ask how our choir sounded. When I was a kid, how many people y'all got in y'all's choir? You know, it was people took pride in how many, didn't care how they sounded. We just wanted to see an army march in. And it was kind of a battle in my church to see who had the biggest choir. And my church always had the biggest choir, and we always sounded good too. Some of our music was but you know, we always had the biggest choir and we sounded good. We didn't some of the music that we had at that time, that's another story. But but you know, we still had a big choir and people took pride in that. And now that's just kind of gone.
I didn't think about that part, to be honest. I think we have been hung up when we've had previous conversations about worship and the worship sound, that everyone's chasing the CCM sound, and I think that's a part of it too, because that doesn't match the choir. I'll be honest, I'm bothered a little bit. I'm gonna say what grinds my gears, because now I'm seeing videos, very well produced and well rehearsed videos of choirs. Was it just the new people, the Maverick City people and whatever? And I love what they're doing, but people are acting like it's some brand new thing. Whereas if that same video was a regular church choir singing Revelations 19, hallelujah, salvation and glory or whatever, they'd be like, that's old, that's played, that's this. But because they have that new slick vibe, you know, almost like playing to the camera a lot, almost like it's just so, it's like they be in a barn singing, you know, like they be in a barn on some hay singing, and now it's cool. And I'm almost bothered. I'm like, yeah, but when you went to grandma's church last week and they sang that song, you said church was whack. Nobody want to hear that old stuff. But if you put the right slick performance and marketing on it, and all of a sudden it's cool again. And honestly, I feel like sometimes we're letting other people outside of our culture decide what our culture is and what's acceptable. And it's bothersome a little bit, honestly, because I feel like we're the originators of this. If anything new is going to come, it's going to come from us. And we're allowing people to kind of pull us away. But I didn't think about the effort thing. I didn't think about the time factor. That worship songs we always joke about are repetitive and they sound alike. And it's not terribly hard. And many of them don't even really push hard harmonies. You really just invert one time and you're in the same, you know, space. And choir music takes rehearsal. And do you run into, because here's the funny thing. We hear these stories about the tough choir directors and how they used to be like sergeants and do this and do that. And I look at this brittle church we got now, And I'm like, can't nobody take that.
Yeah,
Can't nobody take that.
You're right. I'm going to rewind to what you're saying. First of all, I do appreciate and love what Maverick City is doing. They're doing a phenomenal work. But like you said, it's not really a new concept. I remember those old videos of I can't even say what they were called or who produced them, but it was just like a whole bunch of gospel artists in a room, and somebody will be in the center of the room on the piano.
Maybe that Gaither stuff. Yeah, the Black Gaithers, I call them.
Yeah, and you would see Kirk Franklin and Bobby Jones and Albertina Walker all in the audience just singing, so it's not really new. It's just they didn't really recreate the wheel, just kind of made it a little more contemporary. And like you said, the aesthetic, singing in a barn or singing in a school or something like that, and I understand what you're saying about it's almost like what the black people are doing. And I mean, I hate to go here, but it's almost racist, where it's
go
like,
there, Doc. Go there. You in the right room. You in the room.
What the black people are doing is not authentic, or it's not pure, or it's not authentic, or it's not this, that, or the other, but what the white people are doing is so pure. And it's just so, it's the sound that the Lord wants to hear, and all that kind of stuff.
There it is. Song of the Lord, Doc.
Song of the Lord. Yes, sir.
So that's kind of my problem with the movement. I don't have a problem with the music because it's easy for us to teach to church and stuff like that. But that's my main issue, is just that it's, they kind of make it seem like singing hard and music that has more than just 5 chords or 4 chords is seen as less pure or whatever. That's really my big issue. We have pure hearts and all that too. So I agree. So when I first started in 2007, I was that tough leader. I was that tough director. And I have one of my tenors, he's my section leader. He's like, you need to go back to 2010. I'm just like, man, I can't. I was like, I won't have nobody. But I used to be real tough. We did dues at that time, and people didn't mind doing their dues. And
yes, Lord,
wow, yes, sir.
We would do our yearly anniversary concert, and I mean, people get tired of doing that stuff now. It's just like, man. So, but yeah, I used to be really tough on them, and really tough on getting the songs right and getting the sound right. And now, I mean, people will be mad if they don't know something. Like, people will be mad. I don't even want to put this out there because it really happened, so I'm not even going to say anything. But
no, put it out there, Doc.
I can't even say it because it really happened.
Walk heavy.
It really happened, so I'm not even going to say nothing. I'm pretty sure the person's not watching because they didn't really halfway support what we were doing anyway. But I'm not even going to say it. So yeah, I think, like you said, now it's just a different day. It's just a different day, and we really coddle people in the church in general. And so sometimes it's kind of tough for the directors.
Yeah.
Now y'all might have to delete this video. Let me go click remove. I'm gonna click remove tag from all these.
Now, you talked about being a tough choir director, and that's cool. But nowadays, we have musicians making X amount of dollars, and I've seen the videos where the choir directors like stop, and they like, you know what I mean? Is there a beef many times between the choir director and the musicians?
Have you ever had to take the sticks away like James Cleveland did?
Stop.
No, that video was hilarious.
Who's the boss?
Did you see that video with James Cleveland?
Yes, I did. Yeah, well, he took the stick. Didn't he lift? I think he lifted the drummer up. I always wondered if that was part of the show or if it was like real.
I wouldn't doubt it, man, because he had a little. I'm about to get in trouble. He has some Liberace. No.
Yeah, well, one thing I do know about James Cleveland, he was definitely about the show. He wanted to make sure that people got what they came for. There was one video where he got up and you may have seen it. He got up to sing. They did the whole intro to Peace Be Still.
Yes.
And he got up and he said, Master. And the people went absolutely crazy. Off. And he took a bow and he walked off. And I mean, it gave the people, all he did was say one, I mean, and the people like, that's what they say. Like they said they had to carry, people would say that, like they used to have to carry people out in stretchers at James Cleveland's concerts. And you like, Lord. Yeah, right. But I believe it. I believe it. What was it? What was the question? You did ask me something. What was the question?
I can't even remember. It was so good. Oh, I'm
Oh,
thinking.
yeah,
I'm thinking.
the beef.
You know, I'm
You
asking.
said the
Fight the
beef.
musician.
Is there beef?
musician?
Yeah.
Beef with musicians.
No, I've never had to do that. But majority of the guys that have played with and for me have been friends. So no, we haven't had anything like that. I typically, since I am like an organist and musician and stuff like that, I typically am very picky about who plays. And so like a lot of times you have to be an extension of me. Like, what would I do in this moment? That's what I want you to do. So
Right.
So no, I haven't had that problem. But I know it is a thing. And a lot of times it's when you just don't have a relationship with that person. That goes for pastors and musicians, and also a director and a musician as well.
All right, so we need to dig in deep because we're very incorrect. He asked about beef with musicians, but do you have beef with other directors and choirs? I mean, is this a Bloods and Crips situation where you repping the testimony set, I'm repping the anointed voices? If y'all wear yellow to the concert, we better not have on the same outfits. I mean, do y'all get beef about singing each other's songs or singing the same set? Who went higher on the Hezekiah Walker joint? I mean, what sets it off outside in the parking lot? We want to know at Perkins, at Applebee's after the service.
Well, I typically do 95% original music typically. So I don't really ever worry about anybody singing, my songs.
What if they came in doing your stuff at your concert? I mean, do y'all run up like 5 heartbeats and start fighting on the stage, or what?
Well, if it's my concert, I probably will go to the sound person that I hired, tell them to turn their mics off. Like, why are they singing? So I most like all 5 of those cut them. So I probably would tell them to cut their mics. I think there in the industry, I think there is some unspoken competition, and luckily majority people are really nice and really kind. But when you get on the phone with some people, sometimes you will hear, some of that competition come out. I mean, we're human at the end of the day, we're all human. And for any director to get up and say that there was a time they didn't feel some kind of way about somebody else, they most likely be lying.
All right, so who don't like each other? Go ahead and tell us now. Who doesn't like each other?
I can't get into it. I can't get into it.
Bro, I got a cash app waiting on you, man. Just
I can't get into it, but I will say I love everybody.
It's Ricky Dillard. It's Ricky Dillard. It's Ricky and James.
Now they just did a concert together, actually, in Indianapolis.
I bet you they did.
Yeah, they did a concert together in Indianapolis. So
let me ask you this, because I mean, you just talked about it, and you talked about going to your concert and somebody sing your song, but on a realistic tip, if I know a lot of times, a lot of smaller concerts, and it's probably doesn't make you feel good when somebody says, or like Pastor Todd said, my son's singing your songs, or our choir is singing your songs, and that's all good. That's all good. We're little choirs, little small churches, but let's say somebody like Marvin Sapp and his choir, or somebody big done it. Do you want paid?
He gets paid.
First of all, that it is a great feeling. I don't care if it's somebody standing out on the corner with a megaphone doing street ministry and they sing one of my songs. I'm grateful for that. I'm gonna repost the video and be excited. So yeah, we're excited each and every time. It does not get old. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm gonna watch it. If somebody tags me and said, "Hey, they're singing your song," I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna share it or whatever. I think, there are our performing rights organization, which is ASCAP or BMI and all that. They'll catch when people are performing your songs. If there's like streaming, typically they'll catch it, and you will get something for that. But we can't get paid each and every time that somebody does something, just because there's no way to catch each and every time. But I'll gladly receive cash apps from them, or they can just book us to come in. I'll be glad to do that as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to catch each and every time. If it's like on a commercial or radios, yeah, we want to be paid for that. But they can't catch Saint Mark United Methodist Church over on the South Side. They're not gonna catch. They ain't gonna catch all of that. So
You got no money anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
ain't got
no money.
Yeah.
What if you tune in and it's a really bad version of your song and it's one of them church at laugh videos and you're like, what are you doing?
You know what? Something
besides
similar.
my church. I mean, besides Second Baptist.
No, y'all do well. Y'all do very well. Y'all do well. That something similar happened, but the good thing is people will tag you. They'll say, "Look at this. This is so and so song," and then you'll go and look at your streams, and that particular song will jump up because everybody wanted to go and see how it really sounds.
Okay.
So I don't mind that. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it at all. So sing away, however you want to sing it, wrong key, right key,
Right.
just, if it makes it the church a laugh, good, that way people will tag me and, we'll kind of go from there. So I think we're just always honored and humbled that people would choose to, first of all, listen to our stuff. And then second, think that it's good enough to present before their congregations as well. So it doesn't bother me either way.
I got it. Now, about that in church, and by the way, if you're watching, we always take a quick second to remind you to like, share, tag. If you have any questions for Brother Dooley about being a choir director, writing songs, being in the industry, please leave your questions, your comments. If you have a question, we'd love to have him answer your questions. On that same tip, and I am a choir director. And by the way, I want to just say, I was going to tell you after, but we were all over the place trying to do a quick podcast when you were leaving and wrapping up. Yeah. When you did All Hail the Power at the beginning at Second Baptist, it took me back and I was trying to find a video to send it to you and tag you because we did that one year with the youth choir at the Martin Luther King service. We had about 70, 80 kids. And I had started youth choir years ago and all the kids grew up, so I don't have a youth choir no more. But they did the exact same, almost the same arrangement, very similar. I loved it when I first heard William Murphy do it with Clarence McClendon years ago. And I said to myself, we're going to do this. And it just took me back. I love the anthems. I love the choruses. And I, had an intent to expose younger people to different genres of music. So we weren't all just going to do Kirk Franklin joints, and stuff like that. But my question is, when we're doing music in church, in particular your music, I, as a director, and I'm a pastor, and I'm still involved with the music ministry, sometimes I adjust the music to fit my church choir. If it started kind of high and I know when low is too low, I might drop it a half step or a whole step or take out an incredibly challenging part because I feel like we're missing out on participating in the choir music. If we let that one line or that one note, or they invert it 4 times, I only invert 3 or 2, and we get a nice worship feel out of it. How do you feel about adjusting music? And I'm talking for the average church choir to find some, I'm not talking about totally changing the beat. I've seen people go totally Baptist with songs that were very contemporary, and next thing you know, they on a swing beat from the fields. I'm not talking about that necessarily, but how do you feel about making the adjustments to make music accessible to a choir that might not have the range or the abilities of that tape or that CD?
Yeah, I've done that. And the worst thing is like when the musicians learn it, just like the album, and you're like, okay, no, we're going to take that down a whole step. And I'm like, oh my God, but yeah, I've had to do it. I'm sure every church choir director has had to, or praise and worship leader, you've had to do it. Because sometimes, maybe the singers are maybe they're not full voice that week, or, maybe they have, had to do a lot of singing recently and can't hit the notes. So yeah, we've had to do it. Or maybe the musicians can't play in that key. There's so many different variables about why sometimes we have to, make the music our own. So yes, I've had to do that. I typically try to do things in the right key. But I even did something today, like something as simple as Lord, You Are Good. I just didn't feel like singing that song in the key of E. So we did it in E flat, something as simple as that. We have to do it all the time, And then the other thing is, like our church choir, sometimes you may not have the most talent, and you have to do what you got to do. Right.
When is just hang it up? Let's dive into the talent of the church.
Okay.
Man,
I hope nobody from my church is watching. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Hope nobody from my church is watching. And I know they do, but they don't tell me they do me. But like you said, it's like a school that's shrunk. You know, we live in an area where the schools have shrunk. And so we often say the talent pool isn't as big as it once was. And the same goes for the church. And you are working with, you know, it's not professional talent, not to mention all the tools that are at artists and recording artists' disposal that by the time you get a finished product, you know, obviously, right. You know, you feel very subpar next to it. But I mean, what do you do? How do you adjust to that? When is it too bad? Like, okay, you guys should just not be doing this. Or when do you work with them? There are a lot of churches that are bringing in singers to either buffer or completely, like musicians were once brought in as a band. Now they're bringing singers in as an ensemble to buffer up every group that aren't a part of the church. How appropriate is that, you know, budget-wise? Now everybody's being paid. You know, it's really turned into a lot of things going on. Does that create resentment? If some folk are being given a little something to come help out, what do you feel about the talent level of the average church choir and how to make it better or what's appropriate to make it better?
Well, I'm going to be honest. If you really think about how much better would your music ministry be with a huge injection of millennials?
Right.
I mean, that's really the answer there. The millennials and whatever the age is right above the millennials are absent from our churches. And that's what would really boost the talent. You know, the millennials are not coming to church for whatever reason. And so, you know, you have Mother who's been singing praise and worship, or she sang when it was devotions, you know, when they would just let the deaconess get up on 4th Sunday, you know, the deacons did the other 3, you know, so she's been singing that long, but the millennials are sitting in the audience or sitting at home watching the virtual or not watching at all or not going at all. They're at brunch, you know, so, I mean, we have a lot of that talent that's just sitting at home. And really think about when you were younger, the choir was full of people that are around your age. You know, the choir, when you were younger, the choir had that they were 30 to 50. That was the choir, you know, maybe 25 to 50 or so. And there were just so many of that age group in the church at that time. And now that age group is gone. And it's like, okay, in order for me to get them in here, I got to pay them. You know, I would love if my church could create a budget to where I could bring in 3 singers and then a couple more musicians and a praise and worship leader, because right now I'm kind of doing all of it and it's really exhausting. It's really exhausting to play, sing, lead, do the rehearsal. It's really exhausting. And so I see why churches have added that into their budget. Okay, we got to get some talent. And that may have started from LeBron James, you know, saying, look, I can't do this by myself. I got to get some talent. I got to get some guys around me that can do something when I throw them the ball. And I think that's really, I mean, you look at a lot of churches that are really successful and that's what they're doing. They're hiring. I mean, just look at back in the day, it was like you would see ministers of music being hired. Now, what you're seeing is the worship leader or the worship pastor. They're the ones being hired. And you just have a band. There's no minister of music at a lot of churches now. You have your worship leader and then you have the band. And then the singers, you know, they're usually hired in. And so I think it's okay to do. I don't have a problem with it at all. But I think, again, if we could find a way to get the millennials and whatever the age group, what's the age group just older than the millennials?
Generation X, that's us.
Yeah.
Generation X.
So I'm still a millennial. So if I had more of my peers in the church and then more of your peers in the church, we could have church, you know, because
they want to do what we're talking about, though? Or are they pushing more towards the Maverick City, more towards the elevation worship, more towards the you know, first it was the Todd Tribbett stuff, the Kirk stuff, you know, and all that? You know, would they even want to do it? Because we're sitting here saying if more millennials were here, we'd have this choir, but would they even want to be in the choir?
Well, I mean, I will say, like, the millennials are in the community choirs and they're in the recording groups, you know, so I'm going to say yes. But I mean, it's just, you know, and one thing I did have realized is millennials will beget millennials, you know, Gen X will beget Gen X. So when you go into a church and it's nothing but you see Mother Rivers in there and, you know, Deacon Stanford. You know,
real people.
You know, you see Deacon Wilkes in there, and Mother Iverson, and that's all you see in your millennial. You be like, it don't matter how good the service is, don't matter how good it is, don't matter how good the preached word was. It doesn't matter how much y'all shouted, how much y'all fell out in worship. They ain't coming back because there's no other millennials there. There's no other younger people there. So if you had a group, let's say you had your worship leader or your director get up and say, hey, we're starting a choir. And it's a young guy, they know what they're doing. The freaky dealer came to your church and said, I'm starting a choir. You would have a full choir by the next week. People from all over Warren and Northeast Ohio would be coming to Second Baptist to join the choir. So I think
call Ricky.
Call him. Call him. But I think that's real though. You know, people want to go, they want to go where something is happening. Because there are churches, and there may be a church in Warren that you're like, man, they got all the young people. It's because they have young people, you know. And so if they wanted to start a choir, yeah, they could easily do that. But I think that things have just kind of shifted musically.
Sometimes what we're seeing are, and to be honest, I mean, I don't think we have that strong. And I'll be honest, I think what we see are like friendship groups and cliques of friends or family members, of course, who are tight with each other. I don't think we're seeing a lot of independent, especially in smaller cities. We're not seeing an independent gathering of millennials together. I think you're seeing people coalesce together because they have family values like, yo, let's just try to make this good because we're in the church and we're young and let's be in the same space. But I agree with you that definitely your age group draws other age group. Mike has a question that were you going to post that up, Mike? Mike has a question he wanted to post up in the comments. Would they come if we had regular choirs again? So I guess the context of that is the fact that people are only seeing 6 people up there singing praise and worship, is that making people think there's no space for them? Because
I think so.
It's only 6 super talented people.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, you said something earlier. You said we had a children's choir or a teen choir, and you said we don't have a teen choir anymore. Really think about that. You know, when kids start singing in church early, that's something that they hold on to forever. So you have a group of, I mean, we had a big kids choir when I was coming up, maybe 25 kids or so. And then, you know, those 25 kids, they turn into teenagers. So they join the teen choir or whatever else. And they get done with that, and then they're ready to join the regular choir. I think not having those children's ministries is really detrimental to what we have as adults, because we don't have those kids that can go through the system. You know, just like, you know, going from elementary to middle to high school. You don't have any high schoolers if you don't have an elementary school. So I think that's what we're kind of seeing now. So you're right. We don't have that talent to pull from because we're not training up kids to do church work anymore.
Wow.
You know, we'll give them pizza, we'll give them pop, we'll do all that. We'll have a movie night just to get people to come, you know, but joining the kids choir, man, that was teaching them how to do ministry at an early age. We don't have that anymore. We don't have, I guarantee, you know, come even across my city here, I'll be shocked. We have a big city. Columbus is one of the top 25 largest cities in the country. I'll be shocked if we have 10 kids choirs in the city. Not just 3 kids getting up singing on second Sunday. I'm talking about kids choirs where you have 20 kids, 15 kids. I'll be shocked if we have 10 churches in this large city. So they're not learning how to do that, and they don't matriculate through the ministry anymore.
We just reinvigorated ours. Yeah, we just reinvigorated. Well, we always had one when I came in, and we had that same turnover. And churches can't help that sometimes when you have that turnover, that real good group, and they all kind of graduate together, and maybe you got a bunch of 4-year-olds left behind, and it just the energy is just lost for a while. And even that's part of what moved me away from my youth choir was the older, stronger ones did graduate out. Some of them became artists and started doing stuff on their own. Some of them just started living, getting married, having baby. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not a Sunshine Band director. This was like a teenage young adult, and the kids was just the cuteness of it. Like my babies were the cuteness of it when they were 3 and 4. But I'm like, I'm not about to sit here and sing This Little Light of Mine at the Warren Amphitheater and try to have a thing. But we did
Right.
do that. And we even brought back this past year, which we started in January, what we call June or December junior church, where we even have a couple of my boys, deacons, deaconess, they do the prayer, the scripture, sing the songs, do the service. And you're right. Many churches don't do that. And what we've done, and we're not criticizing anybody, but when you do separate the children's church into a whole separate building and room with donuts and pizza and and a lesson and a sticker, they don't learn how to do church and they turn 12 or 15 or whatever. And they're like, I don't want to be here. Right. Where's the pizza? Like I thought we were all just going to break dance to Kirk Franklin songs for the rest of our lives. I thought that's what church was. And they don't have the patience. And what we did when we came back from, and I'll let Jeff ask a question, but when we came back from pandemic and we stopped children's church, our kids had no problem being in church. And that was everybody's fear. They're going to disrupt. They're going to get bored. Of course, they touch the phones and do this. Some of them, go to sleep like we did. But I got a little boy running down the aisle on me playing the tambourine every Sunday. That if he wasn't there, he would have been in the basement before COVID. He would have been in the basement eating crackers and learning a lesson, which is good for him, but he wouldn't have been in church. So I agree with you 100%. We're not developing that.
I would just say, I was I haven't seen a choir the likes of what you had when we had the youth choir here and more. I haven't seen one actually again until I went to Beulah and Danielle was doing it.
And she brought the kids.
And that was just phenomenal when I was there at that church. And I think one of the reasons, even when you left or when you shut it down, I think somebody should have been there. Even if you didn't do the Sunshine Band, somebody else should have been there to pick that ball up because there were still kids.
Oh, there. I offered it.
I know you are. Trust me, I remember. But my question for you before we go, because I know we're almost out of time. My question for you is, I don't know the antiquity of church choir robes, but I'm kind of guessing. The robes was so that everybody could look the same and they could be on and you remember back in the day, the choir director was just like, it was this, just move side to side. That's all they done. Now everybody want what they want. They wearing jeans and they bouncing up in there. You know what I mean? Is that just another generation thing? Or is, do
y'all have dance auditions? Like, how do y'all, like, what's your mic work look like? Can you do James Brown? Can you kick the stand and pull it back up?
Is it too far? Is there a too far where everybody can't be Kirk Franklin and, you know what I mean? Right. Kirk Franklin gonna do every new dance there is with the tightest clothes on. And I love Kirk. Trust me, I think I'm Kirk. But everybody
sees Kirk. No, let me reiterate that. He thinks he's Kirk.
I can play Kirk, but okay. Is it too far though? Is there a point where we are going too far?
First of all, I do appreciate the uniformity of a robe. I probably can't get my folks in robes because I just probably can't get them in robes. But I do appreciate my church choir growing up. We did robes. I think I just got rid of my robe a couple years ago. I still had my robe from my church. So yeah, we had robes in the kids choir. We had robes in the young adult choir, and then the senior choir had robes. And then the men's choir that we had, they had suits like a quartet. So yeah, the uniformity piece. And I think that can almost be a metaphor for why we don't have choirs anymore, because people don't want to be in uniform. And what I mean in uniform, people don't want to, if we say be here at 4:00, 4:37, you got people strolling in. That used to not be. And the uniformity of church is almost gone, where people just do things that stand out. And I think that as far as the dance piece, it really just depends. Most of the choirs that I see and I follow, everybody does things that's decent and in order. You do have some people that, push it a little bit. I think really just as long as the spirit behind it is good and you're doing it because of the joy of the Lord and not just to show off or whatever. I used to be able to do a lot more than what I can do now, because I'm getting old and I gained all this weight that I'm getting ready to lose. But I think as long as the spirit behind it is good, I'm okay with it. But sometimes if you know that it's going to cause a stir, you know, like you said, you know, the chief gospel artist, you know, he'll do every dance move, and it gets the people talking. It gets a lot of eyes on him. I probably wouldn't do it because I grew up and I'm still in a holiness church, and we don't do that, dancing over in holiness. But I think he grew up Baptist, so
no holds barred over here, Doc. No holds barred.
They accept anything.
I mean, we came in with the choir robes, man. It was a debate. You know, the older saints felt like they were losing their souls. They didn't wear hoop earrings with the robes. You can't wear your pearls, your necklaces over the robes, but you know. But honestly, there were times when I wish we could bring them back, when you start seeing what some folk wear to church, and you're like, you know,
wow.
And we're seeing like straight sexiness now up there. I mean, straight, you know, form fitting. I don't know who has the tighter pants sometimes. The dudes, the girl. You know, I'm just saying.
Well, I agree, and I think things changed like around the early 2000s, maybe, because really go back and look at a James Moore video. James Moore used to look a hot mess on the stage.
He was. His tie would be all rumpled to the side, and
his tie, he was overweight. He didn't
one
have
sleeve
teeth.
out.
You know, his pants was too big, shirt was too big, the pants were falling down. But people didn't even pay attention to it. You know,
right?
Because he just had the anointing was just like so far on him that people didn't care. But like around those 2000s, image started to really become. And God rest his soul. I wasn't talking about him.
Yeah, rest his soul. God, please.
I'm just using him as an example because he's one of my favorites, and I go back and watch all his videos now. Like, oh my God, he looks a mess. And so. I think image became a big part of it, and so people really started to put so much into their image, and then everybody knows that like sex sells, you know, and it's just really kind of sad that has crept into the gospel / Christian industry, that we have to look sexy, you know, or in our photo shoots. And I'd be seeing some photo shoots of guys, and I'd be like, bruh, like, what's like, come on, man, like. This is a gospel album, you know, and it's just like it looked like
they're giving the come hither,
right?
My body calling,
giving bedroom eyes and stuff, and I'm just like, my album,
yes, sir,
yes, my album.
It's called Bump and Grind Baptist.
Bump and Grind Baptist Church.
And I'm probably gonna get excommunicated from the industry.
You will.
But I'm serious though. Like, you know, my album covers be churchy, man. I'm just like. You know, let's have church. But, you know, I really think that's really what has kind of crept in. It's just the image. We focus a lot on image. I mean, really look at the new gospel artists that come out every year. They're not overweight too much. And even if they are, they get it trimmed to where they look great on their covers. Or
you go away for 2 months. They go away for 2 months and come back.
They go away, have knee surgery, and they come back all slim. So
knee surgery.
Yeah, we had my knees fixed. I had some, so they'll do that. You know, they won't have their teeth. Their teeth are gonna be perfect. You know, they're either gonna have a hairline. I thank God for my hair, or they're gonna be bald. You know, they're not gonna have no receding. Nothing.
Right.
I mean, the Beijing be working. The Beijing be working, Doc.
It does.
Straight,
so, I mean, really go look.
Straight Sharpie.
Go look. Yeah, just really go look and just really pay attention to the artists that have come out in the gospel industry. And, you know, it's really a lot. And image should be important. But I think when it kind of crosses into that sexy, it's just like, you know, I'm cool on that. Like, this is kind of too much, you know. For what we're trying to do.
I got one more comment for you, man. One more comment. This ain't a question. One more comment. Yo hype, man.
Your hype, man. That's where I was going.
Yo hype, man. Yo Flavor Flav.
'Tis the season to be jolly,
brother. Oh my God,
brother.
Do you rent him out? Because
no, man. He's one.
You should start a business called Rent a Shouter. Rent a Shouter. Because I could use 2 or 3 shouters.
Yeah. You got to have. You know, That's actually who I was talking about earlier, where he told me I need to go back to my earlier self of 2010
Yeah.
me. He's been with us since like 2000. He's one of my oldest tenure or longest tenured members. So he gets really excited and really passionate about what we do. Shout out to David Phillips. I'm gonna have to let him know that we gave him a shout out on the show. And
Oh, we absolutely love him. We love David Phillips.
yeah. So I mean, he gets really excited, and we, like I said, we're all very churchy dudes, man. We like to have church, and you know, my thing is like, what's the point of going to church if we're not gonna have it? You know,
Come on, sir.
And bro, you know, as you end, I am again. We said it earlier when we talked about the culture difference and the different styles of music that have taken over, and it's almost like it's popular to be that, but not to be us.
Right.
It's popular to be that. If I want to start the song in tears, you know, and do this for 3 minutes while, you know, the spaceship comes, you know, while the mothership comes down, and then that's cool. But if I want to buck, if I want to shout, if I want to be churchy, I'll be honest. We said it last week talking about Kwanzaa. It's almost like we're afraid to be too black. It's almost like we're afraid to be too black and grimy and guttural. But honestly, that's where the soul of the church is, whether you're Baptist or AME, whether you're a meter hymn singer or a shouter. It's guttural. It's not something you can honestly, I'd rather hear a live recording of a church band, a church choir. You know, the studio is great, but I still want to hear the feel. I appreciate the fact, I got a request. I appreciate the fact that you put a shout on most of your albums. But I want a version. I got a request. I want you to pass along to the other gospel artists and directors. I want you to put the shout on, and then I want you to put a bonus track without y'all talking and exhorting, so that we can do our own exhorting in the car. I'm serious. You need to do an instrumental shout track.
I like that.
Because everybody talks a lot over the shouts. No disrespect, but everybody, we used to just shout. We used to just shout. There used to be a couple hups and heyas and hiya, and then you just go in. Now they be like, it's a whole sermon in there. It's scripture quoting. It's themes. It's an annual theme being spoken. It's a convocation. It's to turn to your neighbor and tell him it's getting better. The rain is falling. The grass is greener. You know, I feel the water in my toes. And after a while, I'm like, I want to say something too. So I think everybody should have a bonus shout track, so that we can practice exhorting the saints to some good shout music.
Well, I'm glad. When I started doing music, I said I'm putting a shout on every album. I don't care if it's whack. I don't care if it's not the latest. I said I just want people to make sure they give God praise at the end of these albums.
Get a buck in.
So I really think you're going to appreciate my upcoming album, because the praise. So we did a song. And Lillian Lloyd, if you know anything about her, she is like one of the greatest ad-libbers of all time.
She's the lay on the stage lady. She lays on the stage and rolls around.
She did all that. So, but when I tell you she sang this song for 20 minutes, I'm not lying. So the song is 20 minutes, and then the praise break is like 10 more minutes or something. So there was minimal talking over the praise break. So I'll have to see what I can do about that. That's not a terrible idea. Just put out something with no talking on it. But yeah, I I just grew up churchy, and I was actually a little ashamed. Like, I used to not post a lot about church stuff because I was just kind of embarrassed. A lot of people from work or whatever would follow me, and I just was like, I'm not going to post anything, but then I stopped caring. I was like, I don't have this little bit of success, or I don't have these followers on here because of me working at this desk job. I have them on here because they know any minute that I might break out, so I just kind of stopped caring, because it's who I am. I like having church. I like being in church. I love the Lord, and we praise him, we worship him. So if I post a video of me shouting, I don't really care anymore, because something ought to jump off onto you, and you ought to start shouting too. Come on, sir. Come on. That's it. that's just me. So I think everybody just needs to, get over that. Like you said, you probably feel the same way, being on city council and stuff. And, then they look, you got to be all dignified in the city council meeting, but then they see you at church hooping, So
no, they gave me a mic at city council. I'm a hoop. They gave me a good cordless mic at city council. I said, this is a good preaching mic. Y'all don't know what y'all, and I got a podium, and you gave me a podium that I can hold on to.
And you probably give all of your words with both of your hands on the side of the podium.
Like both hands on both sides.
Certainly,
I like to acknowledge the mothers in the house. She ain't even a mother. She was the old lady that came to complain about her basement. Come on here, mother.
Right. Move quickly, mother. Move quickly, mother.
Move quickly. Expedience. Listen, we appreciate you. Give us one thing that grinds your choir director gears. Give us one thing that gets on your choir director nerves.
I'm going to say the people leaving rehearsal early,
Okay.
People leaving rehearsal early after coming late. That's the biggest one.
There it
coming
is.
Late,
yeah, they had that part of it after coming late.
Yeah. I can understand if you tell me you have somewhere to go, and I hate when people start jingling their keys after being in rehearsal for 40 minutes. I'm like, look, let's get it in. Let's get it in. We got to be here. Learn these songs. Yeah, that's it for me.
I love it. I love it,
man. Wonderful.
Man, we appreciate you. Everybody clap it up for Terence Dooley. Check out, where can we find your music at? Spotify, Apple Music.
Yes.
You have a website?
The answer is yes. You can find it there, all those different places. Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, wherever music is distributed. My website is very easy to remember. It's just my name, TerenceJDooley.com. You can find our music on there, blogs on there, all kind of stuff. So I just appreciate y'all having me here and having this conversation. We got to do this again.
I'm going to put it on right now. You said TerenceJDooley.com?
That's it. Yes, please join our email list. There's going to be information about our 15-year anniversary coming up this year. Also, our album release is going to be sometime this year. So we've got a lot of big things going on this year. Your church said they want to come down for the 15th. So
I was about to say they're taking the van. They're taking the van. You got to. Do you know the month is going to be?
I want to say we're looking at September. I think we're going to look at September.
All right. My anniversary is always the end of the month, but I'll move that sucker to come down there. That'll be our anniversary field trip. We're going to take an anniversary church field trip.
Is that your church anniversary or your pastoral?
It's my anniversary. That's my offering at stake. So I still got to have the service.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It'll be early September probably.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, usually anniversaries are in October. So during Clergy Appreciation Month. So I typically don't do too much in October.
I got you. Well, we appreciate you.
Now,
Thank you.
Real quick before you go, if you need like a guest rapper, I know some of these choirs, they be having like a little rap version. I can Jay-Z it up for you. You know what I mean? I got a little Tupac vibe. You feel me? So if you need, just let me know.
The problem is, Pastor Jeff, for the streets, you'll end up getting
us something real quick. Give us something real quick so we can see what.
No, I mean, I don't really do my stuff without getting paid for it.
You don't do it for free. And Jeff does have beef with other rappers, so you might get caught in the crossfire in the middle of your shout. So we don't want these problems.
I'm Youngstown hood, baby. Let's
they
go.
Don't talk. They shooting the yo. So we don't have these. That's why we couldn't see the Popeyes over there, because we wanted y'all to get home.
Yeah, man. We got a couple churches in Youngstown. My uncle pastored out that way, so yeah, I'm definitely familiar with Youngstown.
Who's your uncle?
His name is. He's yet alive. Dr. Lawrence Freeman. The church was Beulah Temple on. I can't remember the name of it.
It's on the north side. Yeah, I know well because I was at Beulah Baptist, so they always confused us.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. And of course, we had the United Holy Church in Warren. Of course, House of Prayer.
Yes,
United Holy Church, the mother church in Warren.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, now it's like a Spanish congregation or something.
Yeah, that's what I heard. What I heard.
Yeah. So. Well, hola. All right. We appreciate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on. Hang out real quick to everybody watching. Follow us on Religiously Incorrect. If you're one of Terence Dooley's people and he talked about you, just go ahead and forgive him. We're not taking this video down. We're trying to ruin his career. So y'all follow Religiously Incorrect.
All million y'all that's watching, go out and buy his record right now.
Of you. I want to see him shoot
Spotify,
to the top of the charts. Apple Music, Black Planet, MySpace.
Check him out.
Put him on your MySpace page, your Netscape.
Put him on the, make him your alarm clock to get up in the morning too.
That's what I'm talking about.
Do it all.
Listen, I appreciate it all. I'm just grateful to be here. And
when does the new album drop?
Well, the single is going to be in this first quarter. And then we're going to try to push the album. I might as well try to do the album with the 15th. So we'll see. So I may just try to do that all at the same time.
Love it, love it, love it.
Cool.
Hey, thank you all for watching. We appreciate your ministry. We appreciate your passion. Mike, you got anything for us? Everybody, continue to tune in. Join us next week for Sunday night service. Another great show. Lots of laughs, lots of good conversation. Until then, we'll see you next time. Take us out, Mike.